Hey everybody, Jason McCann with Mountain Tactical Company. Over the last 15 years, I have pretty much run every single stock made by every single stock manufacturer on the planet for Tikka rifles. And here are the top 3 stock issues I've come across. So last week we put out a stock video going over the problems we're having with this particular rifle stock and the build that I was putting together on it. And it got me thinking, especially based on your guys' feedback and the emails that we got, that there are some common stock issues that we've come across. So figured I'd share them with you guys and help you diagnose your own builds. And so the least common stock issue we've come across is the one that's actually on the build I'm trying to do right now. And it's interesting because the only time I've experienced this is with smaller carbon fiber stock builders. I don't know if it's a training issue or what it is, but as I said, this particular manufacturer, it's the first time I've come across it with them, but it is something that I've come across with other carbon fiber stock manufacturers. And that is the bottom metal inlet is cut flat. What does that mean? It means that it's cut parallel to the action inlet. And on a Tikka, you have to have that 3-degree angle. So in order to fix this, we're going to actually have to fixture this up at a 3-degree angle, take our manual mill, go in, re-inlet this, and then I'm going to end up bedding the bottom metal to just fill in the little tool marks, the little imperfections, because I'm going to have to do this by hand instead of doing it by CNC, which would have been the preferred method when this was manufactured. But this is the least common issue we come across, but when we do come across it, this one probably takes the longest to repair. So stay tuned to the end. We're gonna actually give you a 4th bonus stock problem that we come across. So the second most common stock inlet issue we see is actually over torquing the action into the stock. And this is very common with fibrous materials like wood and laminate, but you can even over torque your plastic stock from the factory. And in fact, Tikka has not really addressed this, and neither has Beretta, but for a couple years, they actually posted inside the instruction manual that you were supposed to torque these stocks to 65 inch-pounds. That was only supposed to be for the TAC-A1. There's a typo. Since then, it has been corrected. But we came across a lot of guys who over-torqued their stocks and actually damaged them. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So when you over-torque a fibrous material, you can see that we have indentations from the bottom metal and where we've actually crushed the material in the inlet right along here. If this happens, your bottom metal is going to be too close to the action and you're going to have magazine issues. The only solution if this happens is to have a gunsmith install pillars inside of here that makes that spacing perfect again. So you really have to wrench on it, but it is possible to damage the plastic stock. And you can see we have the exact same indentations inside the plastic stock here. And again, the spacing's never going to be correct because we've actually physically damaged the stock. Now let's look at what it looks like when you over torque the inside of the stock. So when you over torque the action in the stock, you can also damage the inlet on the action side, as you can see here where we've actually put a detent from those little nubs on the bottom of the action into this polymer stock. And again, your action's sitting too deep in the stock, your spacing is screwed up, the stock in the rifle system is not going to work properly. So we'll go over the bonus inlet issue in just a sec, but we want to go over the #1 issue we see with Tikka stocks actually comes directly from the stock manufacturer themselves. And that is incorrect inlets, either in depth or in dimension from the stock manufacturer. And so this is a very popular low-cost carbon fiber stock manufacturer. And this particular stock, this front one, the depth is perfect on the inlet. No issues there. This particular stock, you can actually see in here, we have tooling marks. There was a dull tool in the machine where there's no tooling marks here. And you can actually see this was not inlet deep enough. This was inlet deep enough. And you can visually see that the inlet spacing is wrong on this particular stock, which is why we've never been able to put it in service, because we're going to have to go in and re-inlet this stock. Now, there's another issue that's with both of these stocks. The bottom metal inlet is not wide enough to allow the bottom metal to sit properly. You'd have to force this in. Anytime you put tension on any part of your rifle system, you're going to have issues. So the fix for this particular situation is we are going to have to re-inlet these stocks. And we can either send them back to the manufacturer, or if you come across this in your garage while you're putting your rifle together, we gave this proper spacing dimensions in the previous video. You can measure that, give that to your gunsmith, have your gunsmith repair it. This is another very well-known stock manufacturer, and this particular stock, bottom metal fits in perfectly. The reason why this particular stock is not in service is because it's inlet too deep. The bottom metal and the action are too close together. And the fix for this is to have a gunsmith install pillars to get that spacing correct. And then this particular stock, it's actually one of my favorite stocks, geometry-wise, that I've run. And very reputable manufacturer, just bad day, they inlet that 1 millimeter too deep, which is causing issues with putting this rifle together. All right, as promised, a little bonus issue, and that's shitty craftsmanship. It happens in every industry. You just have certain companies that just put out a bad product. And I was really bummed out because this particular stock is at a fantastic price point. We purchased it. I mean, this was years ago. I put a post on social media saying we're getting ready to review it. I pulled out, everyone was really excited. I pulled it out of the box, and the craftsmanship is so bad that we've honestly I didn't want to put a negative review out there. So you can see right out of the gate, this bottom metal is inlet way too deep. We even have overspray with the paint on here that's going to have to be removed. And then just look at this. I mean, just not a care in the world about making a decent inlet. The rifle's never going to sit in here correctly. You can see all these different tooling marks. You don't even have the flat that's supposed to be up here. We're going to have to hog all this material out and then rebed the entire stock. And basically, it's going to be more work from a labor standpoint than the actual cost of this stock. I have to install pillars, bedding material, everything. I'm actually really disappointed because I had grand aspirations for this stock. And I can say it's not isolated to this particular stock. I've seen about half a dozen stocks from this particular manufacturer, and they are all made with the similar craftsmanship. And it's just really disappointing. They hit a home run on price point, but hey, as they say, you get what you pay for. But anyways, take this information. You can get your custom Tikka builds put together and go enjoy some trigger time.